1st of this month, and you know, in the light of events, or the recent turn of events, we have a doctor here in the studio with us to discuss the aftermath, the effect this is having on the medical system and the medical culture. He is Dr. Ezora Nanyelugo. He's the President, Resident Doctors Association, Enugu State University Teaching Hospital, Parkland, Enugu. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
How are you today? I'm fine,
Very
thank
well,
you. All right, so a moment earlier before we went on air, I asked what the strike was about. I asked if it was about what the government was owing, and you said it wasn't really about the money. So can you tell us in general, what this strike is for?
Okay, thank you very much for having me in your studio.
You're welcome.
Like you said, my name is Dr. Ezora Nailugochima, and I'm the president of the Association of Resident Doctors, SLTV Channel, Parkland.
Okay.
And by being a president, it makes me a NEC member, that is National Executive Council, of the bigger body, which is the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. Yes, the strike basically is not about money. The strike is about how do we help the health sector of Nigeria. It's basically on how to improve the health sector of Nigeria. You know, the misconception out there is that doctors went on strike because of money, because of what they are being owed. Yes, doctors are being owed. But then let us also look at the other aspect of it, okay? Where we have doctors who work for unhealthy hours. And an unhealthy doctor is an unhealthy patient. When a doctor is not healthy, it means that the patient will also not be healthy. And I don't think there's any Nigerian that will want a tired doctor to treat him or her. So the whole thing is geared towards how do we improve the health of the citizens. And by doing how we do that is by making sure that doctors are healthy. There should be policy to limit the number of hours a doctor works. It is unhealthy for a doctor to be on duty 24 hours for 30 days, for 60 days. Some even do it for 30 months. Okay? And this is what we're saying. Let there be a policy. Now, doctors write exam in Nigeria is a West Africa exam. You write exam in Nigeria and you're given a certificate as membership. And in some countries like Ghana, where they even have better health indices than Nigeria, this certificate is accepted, is given the relevance it should be. You are allowed to exit and even operate as a specialist. But this certificate has been downgraded in Nigeria to a level where even a tissue paper is better than it. And we're saying that what need is that? You know, and ironically, you don't want to award them a certificate that shows that they are specialists, or you downgraded the certificate rather, you know, and these people still operate as though they are specialists. They still do the specialist work because that's actually what it's supposed to be, you know. And it's only Nigeria. Other countries that participate in this exam recognize the certificates. It's giving the recognition it should be given. And these are the things we are saying. Of what need is that? Okay. Then before we now come to the monetary aspect of it, okay. But that is not the bone of contention here. Okay. The bone of contention is here. How do we improve the health sector? You go to some federal teaching hospitals and even some state teaching hospitals, you discover that there are no consumables to even work with. Okay, the buildings are dilapidated. So what we are trying to push out is those things that we see out there. Let's make them better, because when you go out there, most of the people you even see to treat you are even Nigerian doctors trained in Nigeria. So we need to bring something home. We need to make our health sector prioritize it, so that our citizens will feel the need. You know, but it's unfortunate that even the Nigerians that we're actually fighting this for are not even seeing how important this is. You know, the strike is not even trending. What is even trending is a politician is having an issue with the wife, and that's actually what has been number one. You know, what has been trending. But then, this issue should be a national issue. It should be given the national emergency issue that it requires. You know, I never expected that this strike was going to be up to 23 days. Okay, today is the 23rd day, and we have not even seen serious commitments from the federal government. At least based on the last update that had been given us at the NEC level. You know, I've not seen serious commitments from the federal government, and it's quite unfair. Okay, it's quite unfair.
Now, we've had series of protests, strikes in the past. I mean, I think this year, this is not, is this the first time the resident doctors are going on strike this year?
Okay, well,
because why I ask is, why is it that there is always, okay, we'll go on strike, and then the federal government will speak few grammars, and then the strike is called off after a couple of months? Why is there the inconsistency in the strike? If the resident doctors are after a course, I mean, why do you think they keep, you know, renegotiating on terms with the federal government instead of sticking to what they want on one go?
Okay, if you understand, health sector is a very critical place. Okay, it's a place where you don't actually want to shut it down.
Yes.
For every minute that the health sector is down, some individuals die.
Yes.
And some individuals that require some help may not get it, or may have to go and get it at an exorbitant price elsewhere. Those that can afford it. Now, in a long time, NAD hasn't. Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors have not actually embarked on what we call an indefinite strike, but we've embarked on warning strike. The warning strike is to get attention, come and address this issue. This issue, some of them are dated back 5 years, with promises. Okay, a lot of promises. At the end of the day, the government does not keep their own promises. Okay, now we have issues for those in federal teaching hospitals. We have issues of those of entry level being downgraded. Now we are talking about even increasing the salaries of doctors, increasing the adding some incentive to retain doctors within the pool. Okay, and what you're now doing is to downgrade the entry level. Okay, entry level that is supposed to be from 3.3, you're bringing it down to 2.2 and paying them. And by that, you're actually changing the person, denying the person some almost about 200,000 or 150,000 or thereabouts. Okay, what the person should earn. That person will not be happy. And this is the same person, the same doctor that will have to go to the same markets. The children will have to go to school. Will have to pay school fees. He has to pay rent. Okay, the way the health sector is designed is such that globally, is such that what the only thing the doctor cares, the only thing that bothers the doctor is, how do I get my patient okay? How do I get my patient satisfied? How do I treat my patients? Okay, but we discover that this day, because of how things are being run, and when you go to complain, they will tell you that it was a measure that was put in to prevent fraud in IPPIS. Then if that is not working, take doctors, migrate them to a different payment portal, okay, that will accommodate what it should be. Because I cannot go for exam and pass, and within 1 year, 2 years, you have not even promoted me to where I'm supposed to be. But I'm doing the work, I'm doing the job, okay, of someone that is supposed to be in that particular grade level. But you've not even promoted me because IPPIS has issues. You have to upgrade every 2 or 3 years. It doesn't make sense.
This IPPIS, what exactly is it?
It's a payment portal that is for the whole, every civil servant, federal civil servant.
Okay.
Okay. So it becomes an issue. But then you ask the question: is if a governor comes in with this IPPIS or whatever payment portal they use for them, if he has issue, would it be allowed to linger for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? So it's how we prioritize what should be the key indices of a nation. It's quite unfair. The way we treat health in Nigeria is actually not how it should be. Okay, is wrong. And why it's so sad is that when we leave this country, okay, some of these doctors end up being the best, one of the best, doing great things. But to give them the fertile and a good opportunity here in Nigeria to exhibit those things is what is actually lacking. So I think we need to have a rethink about this nation, how we reorganize this nation. Okay, there should be some form of sensitization. We need to prioritize key things that actually matter. And one of them is the health sector. It needs to be given the needed priority it ought to be given. We are battling brain drain in Nigeria, and doctors are leaving. Even right now, some institutions are even struggling to bring in doctors. I remember when I graduated and then did house job. Before then, to get house job was a way. You need to know one person that knows to get in. And now that one has actually been streamlined. You just fill in a form through a portal. That one has been streamlined. But then to now get you write primaries. You have your primary. Some people their primaries even expire in their hands. They've not gotten residency. Okay, but these days they even advertise and tell you come and do residency whether you have primaries or not. They are begging people to come and do residency because people are no longer interested in the program, and people keep leaving every day. And we're trying to see how do we retain the ones we have. Okay, and in a teaching hospital somewhere in the north, in Kogi State, okay, sack 5 doctors over something that is very watery. And it's not as if you sack those people because they have pool of doctors.
Yes.
Okay, you actually sack them because they are trying to say, give us basic things that we need to work and function. Give us core food. Give us employ more people. Stop employing people and pay and giving them contract job, because the job you're giving them is not even pensionable. They're taking their time. They're not even enjoying the benefits they ought to be getting, you know. And the way to demonstrate or to appreciate that call is to sack them. So these are some of the things in the 19 demand of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, that these things need to be addressed. Okay, and to make it clear, it is not the national president that is prosecuting the strike. Okay, it is the NEC members. And who empower the NEC members? Every NAD member in various centers, because we had a meeting and we discussed all these issues, and every congress brought out a communique which actually empowers their NEC members, okay, to go to the NEC meeting and deposit. And at the end of the NEC meeting, it was unanimously agreed that this thing ought to be given this fight. Let's do this fight once and for all. Because, like I said, this issue has been dated. Some of them have been dated 5 years back. And it hasn't been given the needed attention it ought to be given.
Now, we've mentioned national. What is the state doing? I mean, I'm sure that as much as we have federal hospitals, we have state hospitals. Let's not even talk about the private that are funded by individuals. How are the states, each of the state governments, helping to improve their health sector before we now say, okay, the state has done their bit, let's wait for the federal government to set up their own? Are the states not doing anything, or is everybody looking up to the federal government to fix the health sector?
Okay, yes, I will answer that part from my own state. My own center is a state teaching hospital.
Parkland.
Yeah, Parkland. And I think we had to give kudos to the governor. Okay, some of these issues are not peculiar with Parkland, for instance. However, everything is not uhuru yet. There's still a lot of work to be done. Okay, I think at the moment Parkland is the only teaching hospital in Nigeria where specialist allowance is being paid to every resident doctor, and we thank the governor for that. It wasn't much of a battle, you know, to get him to understand that this thing ought to be done. Okay, to an extent, His Excellency has actually prioritized health. Okay, but the work is not yet done. There are a lot of work yet to be done, and we are still engaging him. We are also still engaging other stakeholders to see how we can improve the health. I know that some people will be asking what other states are actually doing. Okay, I won't be able to speak for that state, but for Enugu State, I can tell you that we're in a better place. However, the work is not fully done. There's still a lot to be done. We are discussing about how to keep doctors back here in Nigeria, how to make Enugu State the health hub of Africa. Okay, and we have discussed. We have brought a proposal to His Excellency, and we've told him bring out other incentives that will keep people here. Bring out some mortgage program, okay, housing mortgage and car mortgage. These are things that will actually tie people down. If I know that I have a house, but I have to pay for this house for over 20 years, for instance, okay, and I'm given an opportunity to go abroad, or maybe I have an opportunity to move to another center, knowing that I already have this basic amenity. Okay, because the basic amenities are just housing, health, food. Okay, and then maybe like in some places in the world, Okay, because these are things we are proposing. Some places in the world where if you're a doctor or if you're a military officer, when your children have some form of discount when they go to some particular schools, okay, the schools offer them some discounts just to a way of encouraging them because of the kind of work they do. Okay, so we also are discussing in that line, how do we get this kind of compensations? Okay, we're also discussing car loan scheme, okay, that will help our members. Things that if someone keys into a particular program, okay, it will even attract doctors from different parts of Nigeria and different parts of Africa, okay, to come in and say, okay, let's key in here. Okay, health is one thing that actually a healthy nation is a wealthy nation, and if we want to actually build wealth, we need to prioritize health and make sure that we have a healthy population that can work out what will make our nation wealthy. So,
all right. So I read up earlier that the federal government had proposed to release 11.9 billion naira to offset some arrears, but then the NAD still insisted on their demands. I mean, if I'm asking if the federal government had, unlike other ASU and other people that have gone on strike, that federal government say we will, and federal government is saying, okay, let's release 11.9. Let's see what we can do with it for a start. Why aren't the NAD accepting to this term is a start in the right direction? But why is it that the 19 items or conditions for the strike that was presented, that you say was presented, and then the federal government is proposing 11.9 billion naira?
I believe when I started, I said that basically everything, the issue wasn't about money. But then, Nigerian politicians are always very, very smart. Okay, but then we are doctors, and we also come out and put things right the right way. This 11 billion that you quoted, that they said, when you go back to them, ask them, what percentage, what fraction goes to NAD exactly? Okay, because this thing is to offset what has been going on in the health sector. Okay. The only thing is that NAD is the only one speaking. What percent, just find out what percentage goes to NAD from this 11 billion. Okay, because this thing we used to pay Jehoiso people, the nurses, even the MD members. Okay, that's what this thing will pay. What percentage goes to NAD? All right, we are not insensitive people. We are doctors. Okay, we are humanitarians. We love our patients so much. We love helping people.
Yeah, which brings me to my second question. Yeah. We
love helping people.
Yes.
It will be so insensitive of us that federal government has shown commitment and we have refused to go back to work. It will be so insensitive of us. In fact, the NEC members will not even agree to it. We even force the NAT president to come back and say, these diseases have been done. Let's go back. Let's go and help our people. We are not insensitive people. So they are only bringing that gimmicks, to play the normal way, normal thing they play, to turn the strike, to turn the Nigerian citizens, the Nigerian population against the doctors, okay, so that they will start seeing us as people who are so insensitive and always demanding, all right? But this strike is one of the strikes I can tell you that it is citizen-based, it is patient-based, it is Nigerian population-based, rather than what the doctors will get out of it. But if it was all about money, okay, maybe some of the things that they start paying would have made also say, okay, let's go back. But even at that, when they do the payments, they pay some certain percent. They say maybe they pay like out of 91 centers, okay, maybe they pay like 30, okay, and then the next thing the other ones will start struggling. So it's not there's really no, how do I put it? There's really no. That is not the problem. The commitment you're looking for we've not actually palpated it the way we want to palpate it.
Okay, now I'll strike an example with ASU. I'll compare with ASU. When there was a period when ASU made demands from federal government, and when they were not met, we had cases where some schools increased their fees just to balance the monetary equation. Now, with the resident doctors going on strike, how does this affect patients? Because most persons, I'm sure the notion of health insurance isn't fully established in Nigeria. Some persons still have to pay. Now, imagine a situation where I used to pay 3,000 naira to run a test, and because the hospital or the doctors are on strike, I'm not asked to pay 5,000 naira for a test. How do you balance this demand from the federal government and then still maintain, the average human service? Like you mentioned, you said the doctors are humanitarians, but somehow they still have to eat. And I'm trying to know if you get my question. How do you balance your job as a doctor and still trying to make the federal government do what, without making the life of patients uncomfortable with money and hiking price and all of that, drugs too?
Okay, well, in health sector, there's actually division of labor. Okay, my concern as a doctor is to, how do I offer my services to the patient? Okay, so most of us actually don't know anything about the billing process or what patient is charged. Okay, especially in a big hospitals like the tertiary centers. Okay, we'll have people who are in charge of accounts who do that, and I think they act based on maybe instruction, or maybe based on what is on ground. All right. So, but if I'm also to help to modify what you've just asked, is there a way we can make health sector cheaper for our people? The best way to do that is insurance, like you said. Okay, more than half of Nigerians are not even under any insurance cover. So how this is where government comes in. Okay, now this is where government needs to come in to see how there can be a compulsory insurance. If you go to US, for instance, okay, if you're not under insurance and you want to pay from your pocket, you are going to spend a whole lot of money because it's quite expensive. But to make health easily accessible, we need insurance. We need that pool of fund and that policy from the government that would say, okay, let's use this to help our people. And with insurance, and if it is actually made in a way that it will be very compulsory and made to function, okay, people benefit from it. Some insurance cover, you come and then there's some kinds of drug that will tell you this class of drug does not belong here, that class of drug does not, so we need to bring out an insurance policy that would serve the people, that will function, and also alleviates the pain of paying out of pocket. But it's not to tell you that this is how we're going to balance it, based on how you asked it. I don't even know how much they charge any patient that I'm done seeing. I don't even know how much is the consultation fee if I see a patient. All right, I just know that patient folder is here, or patient has entered the system, we'll go to the system, we'll collect the patient, take care of the patient. I don't know how much they pay afterwards.
Okay, now with this strike 23 days in, what's the future of the strike? How, because seeing that federal government is saying another thing, the NARD are saying another thing, what's the future of this protest, this strike? How long are we seeing it spanning into? Or is it something that, since there's all been warning, are we looking at a indefinite strike at some point?
At the moment, we are actually on an indefinite strike.
Okay.
And the future of this strike is in the hands of Nigerians. I remember what happened in Zimbabwe in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Doctors wanted to go on strike, and the teachers said no. Teachers came out and said no, the health sector is so important. Go back to work, we'll embark on this strike for you and ensure that things actually come out. It is because Nigerians have not started understanding the crisis, okay, that is going on in the health sector. It is because some of them have failed to really speak up, okay, to talk about this. When we talk about this as a national emergency, as it should be, I believe that the federal government will sit up and do what they are supposed to do, and every government at every level and in different states will sit up and do what they're supposed to do. For now, we've just been seen as this group of people trying to cause problem, as they always cause problem. Just very few people talk about it, okay? And that's why we're in the media to always tell people, this is about you. It's not about me. I can decide and say, okay, let me just manage this, save small money, write for an exam and disappear. But some of us who have decided to stay back, we are staying back not because we don't have any other option, but because we said, this is our country. Let us join hands together and build it. And the only way we can do it is if we work together. So the future of the strike lies in the hands of the citizens. I look forward to when ASU will come and say, let's do what happened in Zimbabwe. When other union leaders will come and say, let's do what happened in Zimbabwe. Go back to work. We're going to prosecute this strike for you to a conclusive end. We're not going to come back, until this whole thing are resolved, the issues are resolved.
Speaking of reputation, this constant strikes in Nigeria, and now we have the medical, like you said, it's an important and integral part of any system. How does this affect the reputation of medicine in Nigeria outside? Because a whole lot, it's okay that the federal government somehow neglects other things. How do you think it applies, and how does this thing affect the medical reputation? Seeing that any little thing, every doctor wants to. If you come outside, where are you coming from? Coming from Nigeria, what happened? They're on strike. What do you think this says about the reputation of Nigeria, medically speaking?
Okay, well,
and is there a way we can remedy that?
Yeah, we are talking about reputation of Nigeria when it comes to the medical sector. I believe we know that most Nigerian doctors, when they leave this country, if they are not the best, they are one of the best. We are well trained to the point that most of us are actually top of our various endeavors outside this country. Okay, so even when you leave the country, the people that actually attend to you probably be Nigerians. But the issue we are having in Nigeria is not about the quality of training. Okay, it's about the commitment from the federal government. So and because of maybe this Japan syndrome may be a blessing in disguise, because it has actually opened the eyes of so many people in the world to understand that yes, there is actually a good quality of training, okay, of Nigerian doctors. And because of that, so many of them just circle around, bringing up programs that will attract Nigerian doctors to them. So if the reputation is not good, some of this country would have actually placed a ban. Don't come. The will take from different countries, but not Nigeria. Okay, but one of the largest human resource exports of this country is doctors and people in the healthcare system. Okay, so it doesn't really affect the reputation in terms of the quality of training. Okay, but it goes a long way to also show that the government does not prioritize the key indices, what they ought to prioritize. I remember when NHS wanted to embark on strike in UK. Before the day came, the government had already called them to negotiate, and they came to a round table and said, okay, let's fix this. Okay, we've had series of warning, threat of strike in the past 5 years. Okay, I think the last time NAD went on strike was when Goodluck Jonathan was the president. That was the last time NAD went on strike, if I can remember very well. Okay, NAD hadn't gone on strike again, which has just been warning strike. Okay, and then until now, when we now said enough is enough, we need to end this. We need to end these shenanigans. All this thing needs to be put to a halt. Let us reset the system. We cannot continue to manage this way. Okay, someone will be on call for 90 days, straight duty, 90 days. What you just have, you just go and brush your teeth, and if you have the opportunity, go and have a shower if you have the opportunity. Does that show that the person is a human being? You're actually killing that person. Okay, you're killing that person. It's not been long, maybe like a month or 2 months ago, that one of our doctors was in ICU from burnout, and it was a lot, and so many doctors have died from this. What we just need is, let the National Assembly look into this matter, bring out a law, you know, or make a legislative statement that health sector should work, bring out a healthy hour that doctor should work. Okay, maybe 60 to 90 hours a week. Anything beyond that, you pay them an incentive for it. If the person says, okay, no, I don't want incentive, I want my rest, allow the person to go and rest and get someone, bring someone in. Okay, let's also help to preserve the ones that are accepted to stay back, because when they leave this country, they are not being subjected to this kind of unhealthy duration of work. Okay, except the person wants, and for the person to do it, the person will be given an incentive for such sacrifice. We need to reset a lot of things in the health sector, except we don't want to have a healthy nation. Okay, but if we allow things to continue this way it is going, it's just a matter of time, and either we'll have every doctor dead or we'll have every doctor leaving this country, and that's not what we want.
Do we have like are there like international bodies that, I don't know, could interfere or could, you know, come in and broker peace between, so that the federal government can understand the importance of this strike? And because sometimes I feel like the federal government does not really understand the gravity of why people protest or why people go on strike. They just feel, okay, these are other people, like you said, people, they just like to go on strike and protest and all of that. Are there international bodies that could interfere in brokering peace between the federal government and the NARD?
Okay, well, I wouldn't want to come from the point of view of saying international body, because I, for a person, I believe that if I have issues in my home and I'm not able to solve that issue and bring a external body, it means I've already lost my home.
Okay.
So this is a Nigerian issue, and it should be solved by Nigerians. It should be solved by the leaders we have elected. So let us not look at international issue. The statistics are there, actually, in the international world. Okay, the number of doctors per patient, we are very far behind. Okay, the number of hours an individual ought to work. Okay, they are all there. Okay, the statistics are all there. But now what we are looking at, how do we solve our own problem in a Nigerian way? And that is why we are here. Okay, and that is what or where we should actually be looking at it from.
We've heard of negligence of some hospitals in treating patients, such that once a patient is brought to an hospital, you know, on emergency cases, it's expected, or the person is asked to pay a certain amount before they can be treated. I'm sure you've heard cases like that where, okay, is
it in a private setting, or is it in a federal hospital? Is it a tertiary
most
government-owned hospital?
Most times, oftentimes, it's in a private. Okay. Right, oftentimes they're private. But I'm not sure whether it's just private, but that whole, okay, you have to pay a certain amount before you attended to, you have to do your paperwork before you attended to. Why does that happen? Why do you think that happens?
Now, if the government does what it ought to do in health, build a standard standard hospitals, well equipped with manpower and all the infrastructure needed, I do not think people will move to go to private hospital for such thing, except those that actually prefer luxury.
Okay.
Now that the private hospitals are actually thriving, okay, is because the federal government has failed to do, or the government, not even federal government at every level has failed to do what they ought to do in health. And if it is to a government-owned hospital that you are talking about negligence, of this attitude,
yes.
Okay, I want you to understand that in most cases it is not because the doctor doesn't want to work. It is because of how the system is. It is because maybe the consumable they even need is not there. Okay, and that's why when you come in, they'll tell you to go and buy your gloves. You're not with your gloves. Do you expect someone to come and touch you with a bare hand? You are bleeding, and you want a doctor to come and touch you with a bare hand. There is no glove in the A&E, for instance. Maybe the accident emergency. Okay, there are no gloves there. Maybe the emergency drugs needed are also not in the emergency tray or the emergency box. Okay, so you have to go and buy them, and that is one of the reasons why we need to come out and say enough is enough. it's not just now, it's not only up to now to be doing this. Okay, Nigerians need to understand the impact of this strike. They need to understand that this is to help the health sector to take a very massive U-turn to what it should be. We're talking about the tertiary centers where when you go there, they may not even have a function, they may not even have CT scan. The ones that have CT scan may not even have a functioning CT scan. Some don't even have something as common as X-ray machines. Okay, they may not even. You're just there. You're just floating. And then when you come in, they will tell you, we don't have CT scan, we don't have X-ray machine that is functioning. Please go to so and so place. That time it takes you to go there and come back, okay, would have been enough for an intervention to be done. But then there is no intervention. Those things are actually delayed, and you keep having a lot of tertiary delay, you know, third degree level of delay, okay, in the hospitals, and it's quite unfair and unfortunate. But I hope that maybe one day the non-doctors would really understand what is going on, and maybe by then we can all come together and demand for something better, okay, because this thing gets to what it covers for all of us. It's something that if it is put in place and everything is working the way it ought to work, I'll be happy, my patient will be happy, and everybody will be happy.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Chima. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you with me this morning. All right, New Day continues shortly after this break.